Okay, thank you, everybody. Sincere apologies for the way the time kind of lack. Had a full discussion around this issue, trying to make sure we get proper consideration. Following the legal advice that has been given, which is under this legislation, we declare a single proposal, which is what the paper does. Any attempt to amend that would take us out with that. So I'm going to deem an amendment going forward, brought forward already by Council not to be competent and open on this paper. So the paper as presented is now open for debate. Then there's debate. Councillor.
First of all, I understand and applaud Councillor Lindsay looking to the defence of the process so far. That's only to be expected, and because it's a good process, I think. I think the issue here is one of simple misunderstanding and clarity. And I think it comes down to the wording in the recommendations. I think if we've been made aware that the consultation, having decided to look at the position of St Mungo's, a consultation was required by law, that the form of that consultation was determined, decided by Education Scotland and the law as it stood, that these are the guiding principles, and those and the mandatory elements of that were X, Y, and Z. If that had been clear, then we wouldn't have been through all of what we've been through in the past hour. I think that fundamentally there's nothing wrong with this paper at all in the circumstances in which it is constructed. I think it's just been expressed strongly in paragraph 2.1. And if it had been clear that certain elements of this, and made the initial decision to do something about it, we then fell into the form set elsewhere, which we couldn't control. And for those parameters have been clear in 2.1, we'd be out of here. So I mean, I'm saying I support people, I don't support wording. That's my view on it, and that's caused all the problems.
Okay, thanks. And I understand it's quite clear there's been some confusion in the lengthy debate that just had. But actually, the recommendation for me is a bit that is clear because it's simply taking forward a recommendation on a single issue. I think it's maybe missing is what's happening in the background to trying to get to this point. However, it is what's in front of us, and it is what we're going to be making a decision on. Anyone else wish to contribute to the debate?
Thanks, Convener. It was just to ask for a roll call vote on the matter, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other contributions to the debate? Councillor Lindsay, do you want to contribute someone?
Just very briefly, a couple of words. It's just, yeah, thanks for the contribution from Councillor Coyne. Completely appreciate that. So hopefully it is now clear, and hopefully I don't want to add to anything I've already said in proposing the paper. I don't think, well, obviously again today we'll ignite a clear process and allow the chain of events to take place. I don't think that will stop ongoing consultation and ongoing feedback on this particular paper and option, and indeed other thoughts and opportunities, issues, whatever it is that the school communities want to feed back to us as part of this. Everything is here. It's clear what the options were being considered by council officers. Council in schools will give us their feedback on that. We'll be continuing to work with both school communities, with Colin and myself, as part of that dialogue. So it's just to highlight that the communication, even out with this particular issue, will continue to be ongoing. We'll hear the views and those will be fed in as well. But this, in relation to this particular paper, this allows us to move forward with the process that's been outlined thereafter the recommendations. And that's what I say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to a roll call vote. In favour?
Thank you, Convener. Councillor Fairley,
For.
Councillor Lindsay,
For.
Councillor McCluskey,
For.
Councillor Vasily,
For.
Councillor Bain, or Councillor Keogh,
For.
Councillor Law,
For.
Councillor Hamilton, or Councillor McTaggart, or Councillor Earl,
I'm hearing.
Councillor Wall, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, sorry, Councillor Earl.
Oh, four. Sorry, I'm difficult making you out.
Councillor Morrison, for. Councillor Gordon,
Against.
Councillor Quinn,
For.
Councillor Harrison,
For.
Councillor Martin,
For.
Councillor Coyne.
For.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Against.
Against.
Okay, so the vote for that paper was 15 for and 2 against, so the paper is carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 7, which is the sport and active employment framework report. Robbie, you want to see that? Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. Good morning, councillors. Double check, is just still good morning. I'm pleased to present this paper which provides an update on the Sport and Active Living Framework refresh, abbreviated to the SALF. The report provides the rationale for refreshing the SALF and the process undertaken to produce the refreshed SALF shared in Appendix 1. The original SALF set an ambitious plan to create a culture where people of all ages enjoy sport and being physically active. The aim was to reduce barriers to participation and increase understanding of the benefits of being physically active. The 2024-28 refresh aims to build on the success of the original SALF rather than replace it. The ambition remains unchanged and good progress has been made to enhance current opportunities for people to be more physically active in Clackmannanshire, as well as significant commitments made to invest in the future, such as the Wellbeing Hub. Following a period of stakeholder engagement and consultation, reflection, review and close consideration of the challenges and opportunities, the SALF partners have identified 5 refreshed priorities for 2024 to 2028. More people with the right skills working in paid and voluntary roles, more accessible and higher quality public and community facilities, more suitable and targeted programming for people with specific needs, and more accessible and connected travel options. These priorities will be underpinned by 6 core principles as detailed in paragraph 3.9 of the report and page 5 of the SALF refresh document. The review also highlighted that the SALF needed an even greater focus on early intervention and prevention, ensuring that sport and physical activity is strategically aligned and embedded in the overall family wellbeing partnership approach. Council is asked to approve the refreshed SALF before it's taken forward to the Alliance. Detailed implementation plans will be created following the approval process. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie. Do you have any questions on the paper? Councillor Coyne?
Probably the budget implications of any of these changes have they been already debated and decided, or is this something to come to us in the future?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Coyne. The budget implications are what they are, and we work really hard to make sure that we can still deliver the same level of service. Must be really clear that the SALF is for the whole of the council, so it's all the partners, it's local community clubs, organisations, other providers. It isn't just the sport and leisure team, and we've really worked hard to make sure that this is a buy-in from across the sector, Forth Valley College, etc. It will be challenging, because we'll get away from that as we're all under pressure to deliver more with less. However, we believe we can still continue to ensure that every young person, every community member can get the best possible experience through sport and activity in the county.
So the long and short is that in 2025 you will not be seeking additional funding for this.
No.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Collins?
But very simply what Dennis has just said, in terms of the bit about workforce and thinking about what was approved at budget in terms of scope and level of redesign, it's saying we'll work collaboratively with stakeholders to ensure competent hopes for recruitment and retention. How will that affect or impact anybody who's currently working with sport development when we look to redeploy them in there? How is that going to affect any potential changes in that redesign in regards to this?
That's the question, Councillor Kirby. In terms of, we haven't entered into a full redesign yet of the service. That's something that obviously we need to debate with trade unions and discuss the implications of the council's budget. In terms of sports development specifically, albeit there have been some savings put forward, they will not impact the staff directly within that service. We've also been able to bring in significant additional investment to support that service through modern apprenticeships, through the Active Schools Network. So again, there will be nobody that will be losing out through that process, through that sports development side of the service. And if anything, we're actually growing that and we're delivering even more for our communities.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hill, did you want to come in?
It's okay, my question just been asked. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Councillor Hanson to education.
Thanks, Gillian. First of all, I just want to commend everybody who worked on that TD and partners that Robbie just mentioned for what I think is really becoming a really good document with the refresh. So the SALV was first developed in 2018 and it was designed to work in conjunction with the local outcomes improvement plan. When it was first developed, it was a 10-year plan with a refresh built into that after 5 years. During that 5 years, we've seen unprecedented change, economic issues, COVID-19, the pandemic, and the cost of living crisis. During all these different times, the SALV has had some real successes through working together with the various partners that we've got, people like SFA and football champions and football leaders. Excuse me, Youth Sports Trust and Wimbledon Foundation actually having athlete mentors for young children have been identified to help them get positive outcomes. The Active Travel Network, if you look around the county, we've got probably one of the best active travel networks in the whole country to encourage people to walk and cycle more. The Active Communities Programme as well, going into communities to deliver classes locally to help overcome the travel and transport issues. And also the Sports Scotland Sports Awards for schools. Every school in Clackmannanshire had the top gold award at one point until the programme was paused in 2020. When it's opened back up again in 2022, we've already got 7 of the schools back up to the top level awards. So there's loads going on and loads of benefits between coming out of the SALV. So for this update of SALV and the new Wellbeing Hub that's coming along, that we will be discussing a wee bit later as well. I think we're in a good position to deliver the ambitions for Clackmannanshire of being active and delivering better standards of life and equal opportunities for all. So, those are the speakers.
Thank you. Councillor Lindsay, second.
Thanks, Convener. Yeah, welcome the review and the refresh and some of that was involved in the initial strategy. I'm pleased to see the significant progress that's been made since then and the detail within the current refresh that's before us. Our commitment to sport as activity is absolutely clear, and this has been reinforced not only through the refresh, but our commitment to having a dedicated convener for active sport and active living, our commitment to strengthening our sports development active schools team, our commitment to having a primary PE teacher in every single school, and the local authority to do so, and our commitment to delivering our new wellbeing hub for people with Clacks. And we prioritise sport as a activity because we recognise the physical, mental and societal benefits that it can bring. And as far as I'm concerned, we've got a local authority that has this level of commitment towards sport and physical activity. Now, an important point that was just sort of raised there is that although we are leading or have led this particular strategy in the refresh, we're not the sole partner that delivers the outcomes and actions that are set against it within it. And it's important to note that in many other local authorities, it's led by other agencies, maybe NHS or whatever, but the council lead this process and lead it very, very well. What we do need to do is press our partners and work with our partners connected with the delivery of positive outcomes for sport and physical activity to contribute to the delivery of this as well and work with them on that. So through the LOIP, through the Alliance, etc. So it's just important to reinforce that. It can always sometimes be seen that this is a council piece of work or it's the council responsibility. Very, very much a partner, but not so delivery. Pleased to see the priorities that have been outlined by Robbie. I'm not going over these again, but I think it's clear, particularly in terms of the training of people, target programmes, the facilities, all links, and that will link to the next paper as well. And just my thanks to Robbie and the team. This is a huge piece of work in the context of, it's an important piece of work though, and how it connects, like I say, to the next paper and to other aspects. But it's a high volume of work going on around education, sport, physical activity at the minute. Big thanks to Robbie and the team for being able to meet the capacity needs to deliver this. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. Papers open for debate. Any wish to debate? No, on that basis we have to do. Okay. Item 8, education accessibility strategy for 2024-2027. Laura, can you take us through?
Thank you, Convener. Good afternoon, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to present our proposed education accessibility strategy. The Education Disability Strategies and Pupils Education Makers Act 2002 places a legal responsibility and requirement for education authorities to have an accessibility strategy. The scope of the strategy is defined by the aforementioned Act and must set out how improvements will be made to access the curriculum, access to the physical environment, as well as information for and communication with disabled peoples. This strategy builds upon and strengthens the previous education accessibility strategy and is accompanied by a 3-year action plan from 2024 to 2027. A short-term working group was set up to refresh and drive forward this strategy and draws on ongoing work to support our children and young people with additional support needs. This strategy is a part of a suite of policies and strategies supporting those with additional support needs and our inclusion agenda. For example, an additional support for women strategy, which was approved at Council last month. This ASL strategy is informed by the voice of our children and young people, their families and their staff, and was based on the knowledge and the data of the range of needs of the children and young people within Clackmannanshire. It was also informed by the ongoing work involved in the consultation process and the co-design of the new Walkie School. This has involved focus groups of children, parents, carers and staff. Full consultation of this strategy was delayed due to competing consultations underway, most notably the budget consultation. However, the consultation period has now closed. We have received 197 responses from citizens-based consultations, and the responses were extremely positive and agreed with the proposed strategy and actions. Likewise, the people surveys supported identified actions. The survey results will be shared and any next steps within them will be added into our action plans after consideration. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Rhonda. Do you have any questions of the people? What's the consider?
Never had a chance to go by. Thank you, Convener. Just simple things, really. On page 89, right. Thank you. Thanks. On page 89 at the bottom of the page, it makes reference to English and the and the additional language support. Just for my own interest, what percentage of our school population does not have English as a first language?
I would need to double check. Sorry, Councillor, I would need to double check the exact figures. It is quite a low minority.
Okay, thanks. On the same page, in section 3, mentions things that we have, and one of those is the educational psychology service. Is that the one that they all found at the last? Am I confusing two things?
That is the same educational psychology service. So at the last budget, we had one member of staff who had left, and the budget cut was not to replace that member of staff. However, we still do have a high ratio of educational psychology service in Clackmannanshire.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
On page 9 of the paper, mentions, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Improve transitions for children and young people with ASN, particularly post-school to adulthood. Regarding the develop operational guidance for schools, can you give me some examples what might be encompassed here, please?
Yes, absolutely. This also relates to a previous paper, a transition paper that came to Council in February from Wendy Forrest that Education Services worked with. So an example of improvements in that area would be an area that we've actually already embarked upon, where we have had a recent transition fair for transitions to adulthood. So we hired out our town hall, and we had a huge number of partners, NHS, for example, and local third sector partners and providers, and we had many young people and adults attend that event. It was really well received by parents and gave our young people reassurance as well as our parents as to what the options may be in transitioning into adulthood.
Right, thank you.
Thanks. On page 93 of 10 of the appendix, it talks about the tiered approach to professional learning. I can probably guess what that is, but please tell me what is the tiered approach to professional learning.
Yes, so we have a sort of continuum of support for our education staff within schools and within our ELCs. So, for example, some of the learning and the development opportunities would be universal for all of our educators, down to intensive support that, for example, the level of staff development that might be required for walking school, for example, for lifting and handling of young people. So it's an opt-in continuum, but universal is for all.
Thanks. And on 94, the last point on 94, it talks about young people who are disengaged from education. What does that look like, and why is it happening?
So unfortunately, following COVID, we have a number of young people who, mainly due to mental health and anxiety, have become disengaged from education. We have worked extremely hard to encourage those young people back into education with a variety of flexible learning opportunities, and we've enhanced that this year with the virtual head teacher who has engaged with, to date, 74 young people who are in different stages of disengagement from education or who are care experienced and need a lot of additional support.
And how is that going? Is it working?
It's working extremely well. So we've had a real increase in engaging the amount of resources that young people are engaging with, the range of partners that the young people are engaging with, and that engagement back into education. So we're keeping a really close eye on that situation, and that's supported by the GIRFEC process, where we regularly work with partners, all stakeholders and parents and the young people to make sure that we're getting it right for the young people and doing all we can and adapting as we can to get them back into education and positive outcomes.
And are you able to say what level of re-engagement you've achieved so far?
Again, I would need to double check the figures on that, but it certainly is a positive trend.
Another question, if you that's I'm sure I read somewhere that the percentage of pupils affected by ASN is something like 44%. Essentially, is staggering figure. What was the percentage 5 years ago, and what's the vector at the moment?
I do have that information, but not to hand, so we can certainly follow that up with you. What we have seen is the trend changing ever so slightly, and the nature of that additional support need being more around anxiety and mental health, rather than the traditional additional support needs that would be imagined. However, we do have a huge suite of mental health supports surrounding our young people through education psychology service. We have, for example, Text Clacks, which is open 24 hours a day. You can text in any issues and get advice there, and right through to one-to-one counselling. So the key issues we're very aware of, and the key issues we are wrapping right around our children with.
I'm curious, because of the size of that figure, what decision parameters are made when you classify a pupil or student as being ASN or who has ASN? Because you mentioned the word anxiety there, and that troubles me slightly. I just wonder if the inclusion parameters have been widened since 5-10 years ago. Are we using the same metrics to establish the numbers?
So on our pupil databases, CNIS, where we record additional support needs, the definition of an additional support need, or the parameters, dyslexia, for example, remain the same. What has changed is the presumption of mainstream education, which we embrace in Clackmannanshire, and we support our staff to ensure that they are enabled to have the correct environment and support of the young people who are within our school, regardless of what that additional support needs might be, which is that's reflected throughout Scotland.
At this point, if I understand what you said, is that there are set parameters for defining a requirement, but we and maybe other authorities have widened that approach, taken in other factors. Is that what you just said? Oh, sorry.
The parameters remain the same, so there's such a continuum of additional support needs. So you could have a person with dyslexia through to a young person with profound and multiple complex needs, or autism, for example. So the characteristic that would be defined regardless of diagnosis would be the same. What I'm saying is, over a long period of time, the presumption of mainstream has encouraged us to be more inclusive and to upskill all of our staff so that we can ensure that all of the children can have that presumption of mainstream and be supported in their mainstream school. Does that answer your question?
Your social. Well, sort of, but not really. I'm just concerned that this, going back to this 44% thing, I mean, that's one child in two any additional support. No, that seems incredible to me. And I'm just worried that we are putting people in that funnel, in that pipeline who shouldn't be there. And I'm not denying for a minute that there are people who need it. But I'm just wondering if we're getting a bit too lax in our inclusion.
Okay, that's coming from a couple of parts there. So the additional support needs will cover a whole range of needs, from someone being dyslexic to someone being autistic, but also some young people that are maybe young carers, or maybe young people that have got gaps in their attendance in school, frequent absences. That's not changed. These measurements and how we say that person has got additional support needs not changed. It's subjective because each school is making that call. What we're seeing is the increased needs in attendance needs, increased needs in young carers, and that is because just the change in society. It's not just to do with what we're doing to assess your need in our schools. We have an increased need in our school, absolutely.
So the trend is national, it's not just facts.
In particular, in attendance and gaps in education, yes, Clackmannanshire is reasonably bucking the trend in that we have had a dip in our attendance coming out of COVID, but nationally there's been a greater dip. So our strategies are helping, help learners access school, but we always need to do more. That is the area we need to address. As we're on, we've had more learners with ASD, autism, but we've got good strategies in place both in schools and in special provisions.
Thanks, Colin.
Yes, can you? Any other questions? Councillor Martin, you still putting hands up? Is that from the previous? Councillor Taylor?
Thanks, Sabrina. But just to come back to the point that Councillor Coyne was making, I think maybe that it was getting, the waters were getting a wee bit muddied there. So is it right that the ultimate goal is to keep those children who have ASN additional needs support, let's say, regardless of whether that's a profound need or if it's a need because they have maybe even very minimal mental health issues in mainstream school? So the ASN, the actual ASN unit, is for children who have specific and clearly identified needs, whereas within the school population, there can be a massive amount of need that is preventing that child from making the best use of the education that's available to them, because there is an underlying factor that is causing that prevention. So although we have 45%, is that 45% also including these kids that are in mainstream schools that have a particular need that isn't necessarily ASN in inverted commas?
So thank you for that question, Councillor. It's quite a long question, so just to check that I'm answering the right question. So
Wasn't as long as his.
What I'd like to say is that most profound young people with profound complex needs, they are predominantly supported within our ASN and within WOCIS. So their needs are fully met there. And that's the sort of most complex end of the spectrum. We also have a lot of young people who are supported through our ASD, both primary and secondary. I suppose what the whole sort of scope of this line question is what are the needs of the more general provisional support needs. So first, Colin took that last question, I was able to find my iPad and most recent data, so I'm able to support that somehow. So this latest piece of data is the percentage of additional support needs by ELC, primary and secondary as of February 2024. So we have 22% of our young people in ESC have an additional support need. So that's 181 of the 827 young people in our ELCs. In primary, we have 36% of our young people with an additional support need, which is 1,370 of the 3,857 young people in primary. Within secondary, it's a little higher, and it's 47% of our secondary pupils presenting with an additional support need. So overall, our figure is 38% as our latest uplift in February. What I can also share, Councillor, and give you a copy of this later, is the sort of trend in what we're seeing. So if that would be of interest, I can share the highest sort of categories. So we have quite an unusual increase actually, probably different from some of our neighbouring counties, in that we have approximately 37 of our young people who have an additional support need classified as having had a significant bereavement. So there's seasons for growth and lots of support around that within the schools. We have in our secondaries, we have approximately, and I'm looking at the graph, it's only gone up in 50s, so approximately we have about 110 young people in secondaries, of secondary age with autism. We have just under 100 in primaries with autism, and we have approximately 20 in our ELCs with diagnosed autism, although we do see a trend of young people coming through with autistic traits that are not yet identified but are fully supported in the schools. In our secondaries, we have roughly 120 young people with dyslexia, and again that's fully supported through the examination system and the support. And we have 65 approximately young people in our primaries with dyslexia. Nothing with 6 recorded for ELC because that's something that emerges a little later. I could go on, but that's our sort of highest risk, highest areas of additional support needs, and there's about 20 or 30 categories there. I'd be very happy to share that with you.
But not.
Not right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, thanks very much for that. Councillor Lindsay, to move again.
Thanks, David. Set this in my voice there. So, I think really what we've established here is really the context that we operate within across Clackmannanshire. So, to be honest, I think, again, line of question really helpful to draw out additional detail, which again, is not to say to be shared with everybody, but that context is clear to me, and the needs, the specialist needs, and sometimes smaller needs that some of our young people require have to be factored into all of our thinking. So I'll start with just sort of highlighting, Clackmannanshire Council is committed to the successful inclusion of all young people, children, young people with additional support needs, and it aims to deliver services that are accessible to all, with physical and communication barriers reduced or removed. There is a recognition of the impact that access to education can have on a child or young person's physical or mental health and well-being and their life chances. And we're hearing a lot just now about the impacts of COVID on attendance, and what some of the strategies are being employed to rectify some of that as well. And that's factored into this thinking as well. The strategy was developed based on the extensive knowledge of a range of needs of children and young people across the authority. And I think what we are here at Clackmannanshire is quite data rich, not just data in terms of the hard numbers and facts that have just been outlined, but our understanding and knowledge of people and individuals has always struck me through updates that I've had, or digging into understanding the detailed context. It's always been clearly articulated to me that we literally look at schools and individual pupils in detail, and I think that's something that we do particularly well. I know the local authorities do that too, but I think we do that particularly well. So as Ron has highlighted, the strategy was developed in the way it has done, and there'll be ongoing consultation with that. A 3-year action plan from 2024 to 2027 has been included as part of the strategy, and it will outline how the council plans to address the areas that have been outlined, the outcomes that are required to be achieved, and the evidence that will be gathered as a result of that. And the plan will be reviewed annually and reported to the Chief Education Officer, as we would expect. Now, the key piece of legislation that informs accessibility strategy is the Education Disability Strategies and Educational Records Act 2002, just a short act, that one. This places the duty on the Clackmannanshire Council to have a plan to improve the physical environment of schools, to enable better access to education and associated services. And again, we're going to hear more about that in subsequent papers. As well as projects, improve access to participating in the curriculum for all children and young people with a disability or additional support needs, and improve that communication with children and young people with disability. And again, something that I think we do particularly well, and the families as well as the children and young people themselves. Now, there's been considerable progress in all 3 areas since the publication of the previous strategy, as has been outlined in the report. And I won't go through all these points because there's a lot in there, and again, those have been reported back to us as conveners and as councillors at different times. And again, just to reinforce, this is a paper that covers a broad, all aspects of our education system as well. So it's one paper, but it is a thread that runs through our whole education system. Key things that pull out there, the adaptations to buildings, the digital device rollout, significant to young people with additional support needs or additional support for learning needs as well, and the building of new facilities, which we'll leave that to the subsequent papers as well. The strategy will be further informed through ongoing consultation as well, as I've already highlighted. But my thanks just to Veronica for the work that goes into this across the board, as I say, and for the additional detail that's been provided there, just to paint that clear context and clear picture of what's going on in the club. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Councillor McTaggart.
Thanks, Convener. I'd like to begin by just emphasising the point that's already in the paper, and that's the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, Articles 23, 28 and 29. A child with a disability has a right to live a full, decent life with dignity and, as far as possible, independence, and to play an active part in the community. Children and young people have the right to education, no matter who they are, regardless of race, gender, or disability, if they are in detention or if they are a refugee. A child or young person's education should help their mind, body, and families be the best they can. And I think that is fundamental in the education of all children, but specifically fundamental for children with additional support needs, or who need that extra layer of support just to be able to achieve what other children achieve naturally, because these kids have a barrier, and it's important that these barriers are removed as much as possible. Clackmannanshire has always had historically an excellent track record under ASN, always, and I've got first-hand knowledge of that. And it's always been a wonderful place for children with additional support needs to feel valued and to feel supported. And I think this strategy embeds that further into the future, and I'm happy to second this paper. Thanks, Convener.
Thank you. The paper's open now for debate. Is anyone wish to debate? Any further? So the paper recommends to approve the education accessibility strategy and associated plan, which is Attached to the thing next time we have to. Okay, item 9 is the building number one school project update. We'll take us through that next.
Vera,
There's a
sorry, convener, just before you start the next item, I'm sorry, I can't stay. I've got a meeting at 1 o'clock that I have to prepare for, so my apologies, I'll have to leave. I would have put it on the chat, but I didn't have the facility to do that, so just let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, convener, and good afternoon, councillors again. I'm pleased to present this paper, which provides an update on the Wellbeing Hub and Local School project. The report provides a detailed update on the pre-construction programme, including preparation of the outline construction programme and phasing strategy, the submission of the formal pre-application and proposal of application notice to the Planning Authority, and details around the formal pre-application consultation events, which starts next week at Alloa Town Hall and Tillicountry Primary School. The pre-application consultation is a statutory requirement, providing the public with outline plans for the hub and school at the pavilion site in Alloa West. In addition to the in-person events, an online virtual town hall has been created to ensure maximum reach. The virtual town hall went live yesterday. Due to both the Wellbeing Hub and Lockheed School having a council-wide reach, formal notification of the consultation events has been sent to all councillors and to all community councils. The pre-application consultation reports, including feedback from both the in-person and online consultation events, will be included in the full planning application. The project remains on schedule, with the full planning application planned for submission by the end of Q2 2024. The report also provides an update on the co-design process. The co-design group is made up of a range of local people with lived experience. The group have worked closely with the project team and design team to inform the concept design. The group's formal role is now concluded. However, the members have indicated a desire to stay involved in the project in whatever form is relevant and appropriate. For example, they are keen to inform some of the programming activities that could be delivered out of the Wellbeing Hub and Local School. The report also provides an update on the feeder design competition. The competition closed in mid-January 2024 with 18 young people registered. The judging panel met at the start of February to review the submissions. There was a particularly strong response from Alloa Academy, which offers a national progression model in the built environment and therefore has a cohort of learners with an interest in this area. Alloa Academy is therefore being offered the opportunity to host a half-day workshop where the 8 shortlisted candidates will meet and work with members of the design team. From this, one overall winning candidate or group will be selected for a further work shadowing or mentoring opportunity with the design team. I'm happy to take any questions on the report. Thank you.
Thanks, Rory. Do you have any questions? Councillor
Thanks, convener. Rory, 3.1 on page 97. The ground investigations commenced in January. You may not be able to say, but any concerns arising from those investigations?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Coyne. In terms of the kind of early indication that we've had back from the site investigation team, there's nothing of major concern. However, the boreholes are in for another 2 weeks, and then we'll get more detailed analysis of the ground conditions. But certainly the contractors are quite comfortable with something that they feel can be resolved in the construction mode.
May I continue? Thank you. We go to 3.6, public consultation event. Just curious, what form does that take? The top table, and chairs and stuff, or is it more formal than that?
Thank you. So we've got, it'll be quite fairly informal in the sense that we'll have, I think we've got 7 boards created with a narrative that takes you kind of through from the initial artist impressions, the site location, how we're maximising that, the pavilion site to ensure that both Lockheed School, the outdoor environment fits with the natural environment around it and maximise. So that'll kind of show that narrative to the public and have a chance to feedback on that as well. But it's boards, it's consultation, they'll have a chance to feedback on the forms that will be provided. And then equally, as you said, we've got the online consultation because I think we collectively agree we want to get this out to as many people as possible so you can have their say.
What expert help will be there to answer questions on the floor? And how are you advertising this?
So we've advertised it through, there's a statutory requirement to put it out to the local press, so that's already gone out, and obviously it's gone out to all the community councils and councillors. We've also got a press release going out today off the back of the council to ensure that we're getting widely reach, and that'll go out to our advertising and other press partners. We are also putting posters up around the county, we've spoken to the GP cluster group, and they're keen to get posters up with a QR code, which will take them to the online consultation, but also show them the dates of each of the events. Back to your first part of the question, we'll have the full design team will be there, so we'll have JM Architects will be represented to be able to talk through the design, talk through what their interpretation of that and how far we've got in terms of concept. We'll have Robertson's Construction there to answer any questions around the kind of technical build. I'll be at all of those events as well to answer any other questions that may arise, and I know that some of the elected members are keen to attend as well. So we'll have lots of people there to answer questions to the public.
And also on that page 3.7, the virtual online town hall. How is that accessed, and how does the public know that that's there?
Yeah, thanks. So again, on all of the kind of hard posters that will go out and through the press releases, there's a link to the virtual town hall, and it's literally a click or a picture of the QR code, and it takes you straight in, and it actually looks like you're going into a town hall. You navigate it through, they've got the boards up, and you click on the boards, they'll bring to life the narrative and some images as well. So we feel it's kind of taken a town hall, but to people that maybe can't possibly get to these locations.
And if someone just logs into the Clackmannanshire website, council website, is there a link there from it?
Yes, there'll be a link on the council website and on the Active Clacks and Clacks Life website. So the Clacks Life website and on the Sport and Leisure page on the council website.
Okay, thanks. Turning over the page to 99. 3.10, co-design group, it says it's made up of a range of people with lived experience. How many and how were they selected?
Like I just had to double check the number, there was 13 people, and they were I went through a number of our different networks to make sure we kind of as many people with the opportunity to be involved, but it was a self-select process, and then we made a decision on how many people to be involved. There was 13 that felt to inform the design.
So that was 13 from a wider group who put themselves forward, and you filtered that out. Right. Oh yes, it's about the feeder thing on page 3.22. I just wondered when we might expect a result from that.
So they're currently trying to agree a date that works for the half-day workshop with architects. So the school, obviously, because it's a full class, so there's a full group involved, they're trying to just make sure it works into the school curriculum and it's not impacting that. So they haven't settled on a date yet, but I believe it's fairly.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Brown.
Thank you. No, I'm glad we're getting to this stage of the game. It's getting still kind of quite exciting. A question about kind of the next step for us, the council, on page 103, says on Q2, maybe that outline business case for council approval. So what's going to be involved in that? How does this consultation feed into it?
So there's a number of factors, obviously, that will be built into that, around the costs, around actually how we'll operate the facility, or plan to operate, the operational costs, the construction, all of that gets built into the business case. So we will certainly be able to circulate that with council, brought to council for approval before we get to stage 2 submission.
So thanks very much. So I know a lot of people are keen. Can you just confirm that this consultation we're getting into the detail of what's going to be in here, you know, what we're going to have, what we're not going to have, all that kind of stuff. You know, people are keen to see, are you going to have this, or we're going to have this, or we're going to have all whatever. Is this a kind of opportunity here then where we can discuss those kind of things and people can give feedback on that as well? Just confirm that, please.
Thanks for the question again. Yeah, we'll provide, we've obviously brought the optimal facilities mix to council 19 months ago, which was agreed. That's what this design is based on. We will share as much of that detail as we can within the consultation. There are some nuances to some of that around, it'll come down to cost, it'll come down to whether it's feasible. So we will always leave a little bit out of that because the council also need community feedback what they want. But in essence, what we designed will be based on what came out of the public consultation that went to council 19 months ago, and we've delivered on that. And it's a case of checking the community that we're still happy with what we're proposing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Councillor Harrison, do you want to do?
Yeah, thanks, Leader. Yeah, as Robbie mentioned, we made a commitment to bring papers to the council meeting on this, and this is just the latest one. As you'll see from the paper, work has actually commenced on site, and it's really, really good to see if you go down there. The guys are doing the boreholes, or we are doing the boreholes. It's great to see physical work happening on the site. Planning process is also commenced pre-application, and the proposal of application notes also in. The public consultation events that Robbie's mentioned there are taking place over 4 days. I encourage people to get along with those and join in and participate. So that's at the town hall in Alva and Tilly Primary School. These will be opportunities for local people to have a say in facilities, but also an opportunity for us to show the level of ambition that we've got for Clackmannanshire in this facility to deliver a modern, purpose-built, state facility that everybody can be proud of. On that, I would just like to say this project is looking forward. It's not about what's happened in the past. It's not about what we've had in the past. It is about us being ambitious as a council and building a facility that everybody in the community can be proud of. We did decide 19 months ago, as Robbie said, that we will be building down pavilions. This is not about the engagement. Is not about let's can we think of another area. This is about what we're going to build in an area that we've decided, we've already decided on. As is mentioned, in addition to these community sessions, the co-design team will be meeting regularly, and it's great to have members of the public in the community with lived experiences feeding into that process. Adding to the community engagement, as was mentioned, we did have the competition, the design competition for the S3, S6 local school kids, and we had a really strong entry from our academy. They have got a built environment class, so as part of the judging team, we decided that the whole class should actually get an opportunity to spend half a day with the design team, and from that we will choose a best option, and they will get further opportunities with the design team as well. Finally, our focus on the wellbeing hub, I think it's really important to acknowledge, especially after the last paper that we've brought forward, that the project also includes the much needed new office school. So it is so important to our young learners who have got additional support needs that school is built. And if you consider where we're building it, it really is the only option that we've got is to build a wellbeing hub and that school on that particular piece of land. Just at the end, I'd also like to thank again Robbie and the team. I keep mentioning Robbie, but it's a pretty fairly big team that's working on this as well. If you consider the work they're doing on this, allied with the work that they've done on the South Refresh, that's been a lot of work and a lot of really good work they've done. So I'd like to thank them for all of their efforts on that. So yeah, I'd like to move the paper.
Thank you. Councillor Lindsay, to second.
Thanks, Convener. Yeah, I'm literally just going to echo Councillor Harrison's highlighted it because it probably hits the nail absolutely on the head. And really, the only thing then to emphasise is, it's really key now that we build advocacy for this place. I'm super excited about it. The opportunity to quote Scotty, the level of ambition that we've got for Clacks is this really sets a bar for that. So, yeah, massively excited, but it's about building advocacy. It's about managing expectations as well, although I think we've got quite high expectations, so that's a good thing, but we still need to, ensure that we're not going out there promising we can put everything in this. It's not a replacement facility, it's a new facility. So, but as Scott's highlighted as well, it's co-located with two facilities there, and this is a massive opportunity and upgrade for those associated with the Lockheed community as well. Really excited about what this can deliver for them. I know they are too. They are a huge part of this, a huge stakeholder within this as well. So and it links directly to what we just discussed in the previous paper in terms of accessibility and providing that third outcome, supporting that third outcome to developing the infrastructure across the park. So huge supporter of this. Really delighted with the updates that continue to come. I know the team's growing as well. We've got tremendous expertise and technical expertise now coming in the team as well, through Ross McGuire and Grace DeCease on the call. So yeah, cannot wait for this to continue to progress. I think the visuals and this consultation will really bring this to life for local people, and I think that's the next thing to build that advocacy. Thanks.
Thank you. People for debate, innovation debate. Okay. On that basis, the paper is asking us to note the key programme update, plan and pre-application consultation programme, design update, and the outdoor space design competition on the conjunction with the Futures Institute of Law and Academy. Councillor Earl and Councillor Martin were both apologies to give us advance notice. Have to go at a particular time, so no more than others in the meeting. We are supposed to stop displaying the lunch, we're going to be on the agenda in the lengthy break that earlier on, we'll push on at least 1 o'clock and so we get. Item 10 is the Alloa Innovation Campus, and Pete, anything else on that paper?
Good day and good afternoon, members. So, on 23rd of March 2023, the Council considered a progress report on the joint work that had been taking place between the University of Stirling and others on 2 projects within the innovation work stream of the Stirling and Clackmannanshire City Region deal. So those projects were the Scotland's International Environment Centre, SIEC, and the Intergenerational Living Innovation Hub. At that meeting, Council endorsed a proposal for the creation of a single Alloa Innovation Hub, which would encompass the SIEC Phase 2 and the ILMH projects into a single project. So this paper discusses a number of issues that are impacting on the overall City Region deal and sets out details of a revised proposal that mitigates some of those risks that are set out in the paper and optimises the investment earmarked for Clackmannanshire-based projects to reach as much economic and social benefit as we can in the shortest time possible. While the paper sets out a number of risks and issues that are required to be overcome, there are also some great opportunities, not least of which is the potential to bring Greenfield House, a much-loved heritage building, back into economically and socially productive use. However, there is a long way to go to transition into a project which can be approved by Scottish and UK governments, the deal partners via both the City Region deal level governance and also their own internal governance in some cases, and of course this council. The business case development process will provide many of the answers to the questions and issues that will need to be addressed, and a timeline for that process, as well as for the next stage, including various government approvals that are anticipated, including anticipated construction start, set out in paragraph 3.36. I'd like to make it clear that further council governance will be sought at various stages of this project development as appropriate, and there will also be regular progress updates to members in between key decision points. The next decision point is expected to be at the council meeting on 16th of May, where we're going to review the findings of the conservation survey that has been commissioned to establish the extent of the minimum remedial works that are required to preserve the heritage asset in the older part of Greenfield House, and also to seek approval of a formal partnership agreement between the council and the University of Stirling. In terms of decision for today, members are asked to note the various key points are set out in the recommendations section and to signal its endorsement of the approach and direction the paper proposes. And happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, I'm
Okay, first one, page 106.2. The original investment profile of the bill was end-loaded with monthly investment towards the latter years, which I would say in the years 6 to 10. The original graph, which is the blue one, argues against that, which is wrong, the graph or the narrative.
Sorry, I think the word cumulative is perhaps missing out of there, so overall, so the peak, you're right, is in that first half. Overall, the cumulative spend is greater, was that back in?
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, we'll move now to page 108, 3.11, the very last sentence in that section. In capital investment in SIEC phase 1, we leave project funding of 69.7 million. How was that calculated, that figure?
So as part of the business case for that, we use the government's Green Book 5 case business case process, and that has to demonstrate a whole range of benefits. And there's a clear mechanism for how you generate that and demonstrate that. So that was all set out in the business case. I'm afraid I don't have those details in front of you. If you wish, I could send them to you.
And just from my own interest in how these things that have a background in this kind of thing, it would be interesting to see that.
Yeah, but no rush.
Moving page 111, the business accelerator program. I suppose it's kind of tied up with that in a way, isn't it? Just wondering what form the program would take.
Particular paragraph, sorry, top of the page, 3.24 is heading Business Accelerator Program. I'm just thinking what the form of that will be, what the program will look like. Yeah, so this is building on from what we already have at the moment with the SIEC phase 1, say week that is being led by the university. So it's engaging with a range of stakeholders in private and third sector. And in community groups and also outreach to schools. But it's looking at raising awareness about the opportunity, about the challenge and risks associated with net zero in the case of the environment centre, or in the case of sustainable aging, looking at the business opportunities that might be, making sure then that there is a programme of support put into support businesses, whether that may be training or whether that access to some really cutting edge technical capability built into the centre. So, mainly focused on digital, a lot of sensor technology and data gathering, data insights, which can then lead to new products and services. So it's all in that sphere. And I guess probably start small and then as part of the innovation cycle, then develops and leads into bigger things. Which is why I think I said earlier in the paper that while the project is over sort of 5 or 6 years, the actual benefits are going to be over 10, 15 years before we see the full benefits.
Understood. On the same page, 3.28, sentence 2, to ascertain the potential for private sector investment and development of vehicles to be prepared. Is that something we can see at some point, and when would that be?
Yes, at the moment we've got ideas and initial thoughts that needs to be pulled together into something more substantial and probably needs to form a proposition that we can take to the market. And that's one of the things I would anticipate we would share as part of one of the briefings I referred to.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, Pete. Councillor Forsyth, please, together.
Dennis.
I don't know.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, happy to propose this paper as one of the few people who were around at the start of the city deal. It's good to see us finally get some movement there. I'm sure Mark will appreciate that as well. What we have before us today is a very different proposition than what was proposed in 2018 and what was signed off in the heads of terms. And that's for a number of reasons. The pandemic, I think, changed the entire outlook of what businesses were expecting, and what we might expect them to invest in, but also the current economic context with Brexit and the cost of living has meant that the money that was allocated is worth much less than it was than at the time. Estimates have shown that by the end of the deal, the figure will be worth 60% less than it was when it was agreed. I think we have to bear this in mind and take it in context when managing expectations about the deal. This proposal consolidates 3 of the potential projects into one project. So that's the Scotland's International Environment Centre, the Intergenerational Living Hub, and aspects of the Cultural Heritage and Tourism Fund. That's to bring together a headquarters in Greenfield House, which I think everybody will agree is a particularly appropriate place for it. Here in Iowa, it also gives opportunities for growth investment around about the eligible site, but the town centre, bringing back derelict and vacant land into use rather than greenbelt land. The paper also outlines investment that's been able to be leveraged in around about the Forth Bank area. That's quite significant because there's a lot of the environmental net zero work that's dependent on that. I'm sorry, I'm completely filling up with a cold here. So anyway, I'll just finish there. I'll propose the paper because I can't speak anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Karina. Yeah, to be honest, I think the points are captured there. I think ultimately, why this is important, it's an update that we've probably not had for quite some time, as both as elected members and the public. Although we've been kept, abreast of what's happening and what's not happening, and the context around that. There's, I know everybody else will be in the same position. There's a lot of questions being asked about what's going on in this city deal, and it's quite difficult at times to fully articulate that. As Ellen's highlighted as well, there's, although the projects we're talking about, which will have a huge positive impact on Clackmannanshire and Alloa in particular, through this International Environment Centre, the hub that we've already had built, and the other opportunities that come on the back of this. We do understand the current economic impact in terms of the value of the funding that Ellen's articulated there and what that means. But again, the public don't get that, and understandably so. But they want to see progress. So particularly around Greenfield House, we know the aspiration we have for that, and it would absolutely be an appropriate place for that sort of facility, that headquarters. And we know what, in terms of vision, that will happen. But again, from the public perspective, it's just seen as a derelict building. But I suppose why this is an important paper is it reinforces, look, this is still coming. It's taken longer than we all expected, but the aspiration level is absolutely there, and the impact this will have on Alloa and Clackmannanshire moving forward is pretty seismic, to be honest. But it's conscious, it's not in the forefront of people's consciousness. So welcome the update, welcome the detail within the paper. I think again back to that advocacy, we need to be out there, outlining this, and again, I would encourage everybody. I know it's not always top of the agenda at community council meetings, but just getting those messages out there about at least placing this paper in front, because I think at least explains the current situation when we're getting asked questions on these things. I know we'll do that anyway, but I think the more we can get that out, the better. We get a lot of challenge on the current situation, particularly. So, but thanks for the update, thanks for the paper, and yeah, the opportunity is still very much there. Thanks.
Thank you. The paper's open for debate. Councillor Bailey.
Thanks for that. Yeah, this has been a long time coming. I feel as if I've done my whole career in the council for this to start now. We have had a lot of problems in the past trying to square the circle, if you like, with this, and a lot of people coming to myself as well as probably everybody else in this room. So when is it happening? That was maybe like 6 months after it started. So the expectations were very wrong right at the very start, by people, nothing to do with the council, because we always said it was going to be a much longer term project, but it's nice to see it actually starting to kind of knit together now. At one stage, we didn't even think Greenfield House was going to survive. We thought it was going to be the one small thing in Clackmannanshire and everything else going by the by. But we are actually looking now. I was at the meeting the other day, as were a lot of us in the council to get a preview on this. And John is very much a positive guy who thinks everything's hunky-dory and going to happen. And sometimes you have to ask these questions from him about how sustainable is it and how viable is it. And he seems to think that going forward that it's going to be very, very much on stream and able to work. So I can only just say, well, let's hope that happens. But we have to obviously think about the money side as well. And 60% down, you know, it's a lot of money that we've lost. And through no fault of anybody's, through no fault of ours, certainly. So yeah, we just hope that we'll get something viable that people are going to be proud of by the time it's finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cullen.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, I support the paper and I think the remodelling of the project is a dramatic response to a changing economic and cultural and financial environment. I think really it's had to be done. And the only one thing I would query, and I can't ask as a question because we're in debate, but I'll make as a statement. My understanding from John Rogers was that the residual value of the fund, the total fund, would be 60%, not 60% down, but maybe 60% of the original figure, which is quite a difference. And it might be worth clarifying that just for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other contributions? Any more opportunities on?
Yeah, just coming back on Councillor Coyne's point, he's absolutely right on that. So I've just articulated it wrong when I was speaking.
Okay, thank you. Are we happy to approve the paper? So, last item on the agenda, which is the policy paper.
Afternoon, Council. The paper has tabled 6 council approval to amend the existing work-life balance and flexible working policy procedure to ensure it is compliant following changes to regulations that will take effect from April this year. Council will recall we intimated these changes when approval was given at the council meeting in September 2023 to make the right to request flexible working at day 1 entitlement. The changes which are highlighted in Appendix 1 are that staff will be able to make 2 flexible working requests within a 12-month period as compared to 1 currently. The time for employers to respond to a request will reduce from 3 months to 2 months. There will be a duty to consult with employees on the request and discuss alternatives if a request is going to be refused. And there is no longer a requirement for the employee to explain what effect the request will have on the employer or how the impact will be dealt with. Council are also asked to note that discussions took place with our trade union colleagues at the policy group on the 27th of February, and our unions were supportive of the changes. Tripartite were also advised on the 13th of March 2024 that a paper on the changes would come to this council meeting. I would also outline that commitment was given to our trade union colleagues to review the full work-life balance and flexible working policy and procedure within the next 12 months, and this has now been built into our policy schedule. I'm happy to take any questions that members may have.
Thanks, Chris. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, David. Only one. Chris, could you look at page 130 and 7.4? The third bullet. I think there's a contradiction in there. It says, where more than one request is received, there is no requirement to make value judgments about the most deserving request. Managers should consider each application on its merits based upon the business case and the possible impact of refusing a request. If that's not a value judgment, I don't know what is. And I think if you delete the first sentence and put the word only in application, that might
see that.
Me again, so.
I take your point on board. It's not one of the changes that we're considering at the moment, but we will look at changing that and reviewing the food policy in the next one.
Okay, Councillor.
Thank you. No, glad to see all this. I'm just wondering quickly if do we know how many requests we have for flexible working? And have we had any that have been rejected? That, you know, maybe under these circumstances, maybe.
I would have to extract information if we hold that in the HR system. There will be cases where flexible working has been refused under the current legislation based on service needs. Small teams, sometimes it's not practical, but with the changes here, there is kind of a duty to consult, and if you are going to refuse a request, you have to look at this impossible alternatives so you can go to try and support flexible working. So this gives more time to staff in terms of requests. Under the current processes, there have been cases where we've had to refuse. But we've also worked with staff to look at how we can work with them to resolve it.
So,
Any further questions? No? Yes. Councillor Thompson.
Hopefully managed to get through this one. Just happy to formally move. I think it's a paper that's a result of legislation changes, and we're required to do this as a council, so I'm happy to propose.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, to second.
Yep, happy to second it. Even the world's changing, COVID taught us that in terms of working, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. There's going to be real changes in local government, and flexible working will enable that process, so I'm happy to second it.
That concludes the meeting.
That seems to be keeping up somewhere, so.
Everybody knows what's right.
Just be up whenever you're ready.
So the people who want to debate, the rest of the meeting. Happy to approve? Gives approved. Thank you very much for your attendance and coordination today. If you cause some struggles with the under the new.
Breathe on us.
See if that ringtone went for just 20 seconds at the end.